voice isn't loud enough. It is 6 p.m. on Monday, the 17th of November. So I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission of the town of Copper Canyon at 6 p.m. here in the council chambers at Copper Canyon Town Hall. So our first order of business is public input. I have one thing here from Jeff. Is this for public input or public hearing?
Public input, I guess.
Okay.
Public hearing.
Is it about tonight's agenda?
Yes.
It's about tonight's agenda, so let's hold it then. Is there any other public input that's not about tonight's agenda items? Hearing none, we'll move on to the development update. I guess we can start with Troy, if you'd like to give us a development update.
Yes, just a couple quick things. One of the developments that we have is the Copper Knolls that's on Orchid Hill. If you'll notice, if you've been by there recently, they are putting the perimeter fence up. So they've got the wood fence on the north side and then the wrought iron fence, and then they're working around the front. All the streets are in, signs are up, light poles are in, so they're getting close. They're getting close. We're just waiting for that fence.
They poured the footings for the fence along Orchid Hill.
Yes, that's correct. So that's continue to make progress there. Copper Creek Estates Phase 3, as you guys recall, there's some drainage that comes through our town limits, and so they're making progress on that. They've been cutting concrete, putting concrete back, that type of thing. So they're continuing to work on that as well. And we're working with the county on when they release permits for that project, and that drainage has to be complete before and approved by the town of Copper Canyon before they will release any permits for any homes in Phase 3. So we've been working with them on that, just so you guys know. Awney Ranch, if you've driven by that, they're cutting the roads, putting drainage in, retaining walls, and so we've been inspecting that on a regular basis as well. So they're making pretty good progress along with that. So, but those are probably the big three developments that we have. Any other questions?
Right. So I'd like to give an update here because we have a new ordinance. I wanted to kind of clear up a couple of things that have been in the talk, and I don't have enough for the audience, but we can hand them to you when we're done. You want to give one to Troy? There's been some talk, and I'm included in the group that has said, "Wow, that's easy. That should be a minor plat, or that should be a minor replat, or that should be an amending plat." And so I confess to not only my own not appropriate use of terms, but several other people have used those terms inadvisedly. So what I wanted to do is take a brief moment to have a little quick educational seminar here, just for the benefit of the record. And then, because what I've got is I just handed out copies of a section of our new ordinance that passed last week, was it? Yeah. Last week. So this is our new planning and zoning ordinance, or I'm sorry, it's our new subdivision ordinance. And the threshold question when someone wants to do something is, has it been platted or not? That's the threshold question. If it has been previously platted, there's only two choices. You can either have a replat or you can have an amending plat. Those are the two choices. An amending plat is very special. It's very limited. I'll go into that in a second, but it's not as easy to get as you think. If you have unplatted land, such as we have tonight, you have two choices. You can do a final plat or a minor plat. A minor plat also sounds easy, but it has restrictions on it too, so it's intended to be relatively limited. So that's why tonight we have a plat instead of a minor plat or anything else. So the threshold question again is this property platted or not? And you've got to go down, once that fork hits, then you've got another fork there. So on what I've handed out here is a description of a minor plat, and I've highlighted in yellow several things. A minor plat proposes the subdivision of a tract of land that results in 4 or fewer lots, provided it does not require the approval of variance, waivers, or exceptions. So if you take a piece of property, you want to split it into 4 pieces of property, that's fine, so long as there's nothing needed to be a waiver or anything. And that's in the judgment of the town staff and the engineers, not the landowner. If it qualifies under that, then the town staff can authorize it without coming to us and going to council and all this other stuff. So the other requirement, interestingly enough, is all lots to be created by the minor plat should be adequately served by improved public streets, improved public street access. So if you're gonna split it into 4 lots, but 3 or 4 of them are kind of like in the backwood, that doesn't qualify. So again, it's very limited. And then if you are in the situation where you have platted land, and you want to try and qualify under an amending plat, I've highlighted that here. An amending plat, it really only has, there's like a bunch of steps that if you hit one of these, it's an amending plat. The intention of an amending plat is generally for what they call scrivener's errors. There's a typo, there's a line that's dotted when it should be dashed, little things like that. It's just to kind of clean up. However, under amending, our ordinance and the state of Texas say that you can have an amending plat if you relocate one or more lot lines between one or more adjacent lots, if the owners of those lots join in the application, the amendment does not attempt to remove recorded covenants or easements, and the amendment does not increase the number of lots. So it's a little bit of a trick there, right? I mean, if you want to make 6, but you can't increase the number, it's a little bit of a trick. So again, amending is very seldom used. So I just wanted to kind of make those couple of points, just to kind of reset everybody's thoughts of what's a minor, and there is, by the way, no such thing as a minor replat. There are only replats. There are no minor replats. So just to kind of clear up some of that language. Does anybody have any questions on any of that? All right. Also, we've got now our consent agenda. One of the things I learned recently is that when you have a small board, the chairman can make motions. So instead of me asking for you guys to give me a motion, I'm going to say, I make a motion that we accept the consent agenda as presented, approving the October 20th, 25th minutes of our commission meeting and the October 22nd, 2025 minutes of the Grand Council P&Z and POA workshop meeting. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? No? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, unanimous, Sheila? Now we move to discussion items. And I think, as most of you know, I kind of do this a little different. I want to do discussion to get the facts out on the table. We're not making a decision, we're just getting the facts out. We hear from the property owners or the engineers or whoever. And then we have a public hearing where the public can speak. And then we here only take action or have a serious discussion once the public has had a chance to give their input to us. So I kind of split it up a little bit. But I like to have the discussion first so that the facts are out on the table, so when the public comments, they're commenting on something that they're aware of. So I guess the first item of discussion here is discuss the final plat, Rochelle, Stevens, and Pyrrhus, is that right, Pyrrhus? Pyrrhus Edition, lots 1 to 3, Block A, 7.876 acres, J. Edmondson Survey, abstract number 398, J. Harrod Survey, abstract number 588, in the town of Copper Canyon, Denton County, Texas. The properties to be platted include property ID 19784, 19785, 19786, and 20191, as noted in Denton CAD. So the first item of interest here for discussion, this is not a platted property. It says abstract. So therefore, this is an unplatted property. It's been surveyed, maybe, but it's unplatted. So to kind of get things rolling, I wanted to see if the property owners wanted to tell us what they're up to and what they'd like and where they're going and all that kind of stuff. Would you interested in telling us? Is there?
Sure.
Okay, please step up.
I can speak for us. I'm only one of the 3 parties. So my name is Mike Rochelle, my wife Arlene Rochelle, and we own the property that's right across the street from City Hall. It was the oldest son of the guy that owned the big property on the corner back in the day. So anyway, it's green.
There we go. Green.
Do I have to push it, or is it, if it's green, it's good?
Green is good.
Okay. So anyway, we bought the 2.6 acres. We planned on building our home there. We live in Highland Village right now, and we still do fire pits and things like that here all the time. So if you see a fire over there, it's likely us. So we're building a house there. And then the property in the middle already has a home on it. And interestingly, I guess it was never platted, but I think that was before City Hall was built, was when that house was built. And then there's another property behind that, and that's Neil Perez. And I have not been able to get a hold of Neil since I got the announcement. So I know that we had the engineer, he is the driving force of this because he has the timing to get his home built fast. That's the one on the back by the railroad track. And I'm guessing that, because I didn't see it, that the last plot that you're talking about is the railroad plot, but I don't know.
No, the railroad track's kind of beyond our drawing tonight. Yeah,
So is that
his
back
his
property
lot's got a
broken?
long trapezoidal kind of shape. He's got a spike.
And it's broken into two? Is that
No,
right?
it's not. That's just I don't know what you call that line, but that's not a property line. So
Okay.
he has a very long, spiky. That's got
So
a
he,
triangle. Yeah.
got it. So he also plans to build a home there.
Okay.
He's already built his fence. I think that's as far as he's gotten. And
All
that's,
right.
that's all I know.
So, before you go,
Sure.
I've got a couple questions. First of all, as we mentioned, this is not a platted property, it's been surveyed.
Right.
So, why did you submit a plat? You didn't need to.
So when we were buying our property, the reason we got the property is because we had cash, because no bank would give a loan on the property without a plat. That was the way that it was laid out to us. So my guess, and this is a guess because I have not talked to Neil, is that Neil is trying to get his funds in order to build his home. And the first thing the bank is gonna want is the plat, so that they can say, it is real property, it has this value, it's these dimensions. And until you have that, as far as I know, you can't do the bank.
Okay, that's great. That's perfectly good reason.
Sure.
And you've already told us the answers to my other questions. Everybody plans to build a house on all these 3 lots.
Correct.
Okay, so just kind of give you my thoughts here, and then you guys can chime in. First thing is that you've got a really long driveway. Not you, you're close.
Right.
But the properties has this one really long driveway.
Correct.
I live on a property that has a driveway with people on the back of it.
Sure.
And I wish to God I had a driveway maintenance agreement with them to agree upon who does, when it comes time to level it, who's gonna do that? What
Yeah.
about if it gets washed out? Who's gonna repair it?
Yeah.
If somebody wants to put asphalt on it, who's gonna pay for that? Somebody wants to put a gate on it because they've got horses and they don't want them to escape. Who's gonna do that?
Right.
So we can't require that, but I would
Correct.
suggest that you and the other 2 homeowners get together and come up with some kind of agreement to split the costs and the maintenance and the requirements on that road.
Absolutely. And we have a preliminary agreement. We have not included all of the items that you discussed as far as the road, but we have the fence, the kind of fencing and all that kind of stuff, because that came out of the last property discussion that we had here.
Okay?
So we do have that.
That's a great thing. Again, we don't require it, but
Yeah.
if you want to sleep at night, I suggest you
Yeah.
get it. The other thing which is interesting is, you probably know this, the road is not on the easement.
Absolutely.
The easement runs along the fence line and the road's on your property.
Right.
So you got people crossing your property
Right.
and then crossing the middle property before they get to the third one.
Correct.
So, again, I don't know there's anything we do about that, but if anybody ever if you ever wanted to say, wait a minute, you guys can't drive across my property, you'd have to move the road.
Yeah, so what we've all talked about that, and the lady that built Graham's house is his mother. She was the daughter of the gentleman that lived on the corner. They moved the road over purposefully so that they would have a track of trees to separate them from our neighbors. And the 3 of us have agreed that we're gonna leave the road where it is, just from a historical perspective, plus there are some nice trees that are along the way. So, understood.
And that's all fine with me.
That'll be a part of the agreement
Yeah,
as well.
yeah, my suggestion would be is that you change the easement and make the easement where the road is instead of an easement over here and a road over there. So that would kind of simplify things. Now granted, that would require a survey and all some other stuff, so you
Right.
don't want to do that. But, I mean, I think with my property, I'd prefer to have the easement settled and over with, and so there's no quibbling, because the three of you may not own those properties
Down the
forever.
road, right.
Somebody else may come along and not feel agreeable the way you guys do now.
Right.
And then, I guess.
But
the
that's
oth-
not required, is what you're saying?
No, not required.
Just-
Just merely a
just a
suggestion, looking at
recommended.
at the thing.
Got it?
I guess the other thing is that, I know you've got an easement now across your property for the drainage.
Correct.
Because the water flows this way and it flows down
The
onto,
creek, yes.
down onto the horse property there in the corner and all that. So, that's good for you, but, these other homeowners, and now the middle property has a house, so the drainage is probably somehow okay. It's never gonna come back to us. But the third property, who's gonna build, he's gonna need to come in here when he wants his building permit. He's gonna have to have a lot of drainage work done, because right now that drains the wrong way. And, you know, whenever you build.
So it's going into the neighbors behind him
Yeah,
instead of the
yeah,
creek?
it goes the wrong way, and particularly when you put some hardscape on there, you put a concrete slab and a driveway and all this other stuff, it's gonna increase the runoff off the property, and, you know, we require it to be mitigated as part of the building process.
Okay.
So he is going to have to, deal with engineers, to make sure that drainage works properly before he gets his building permit.
Absolutely. I can pass that along. Is there a way that that can be included in the notes or something for this hearing?
Yes, yes. Yeah, and again, you haven't
I'll,
built.
I'll let him know. But
And you haven't
he'll
built
have to
yet,
talk to
right?
the engineering group and,
Yeah, now, so you haven't built yet, you plan to.
correct.
Okay, so again, the same issue applies to you.
Right.
When you start getting your building permit, obviously you can't build over the drainage ditch
Absolutely.
there. But, you know, again, there may, where you put your house and how elevated it is may change the flow of water.
Right.
And so the engineers will talk to you about that as part of your construction permit as well.
Absolutely.
So just one of those things to be aware of.
Yeah.
So again, that has nothing to do on our approval tonight. This is just, those are just observations for the
Next
future.
steps.
Because I think, you know, we've got one of our, Ted Stranzik back there is Mr. Drainage. And if you run off water onto somebody else's property, he's coming after you. We really are very concerned about drainage in this town, or the flow. of
Totally
water.
understood. The way that my property flows, the drainage from where the house is gonna be, which is in the front,
Mm-hmm.
will go to the road, our road,
Mm-hmm.
and go down to the creek, because that's what it does today.
Right, that's the
So
bar
we'll
ditch.
just have to make sure that there's a berm around the house or something that allows the water to come around.
It just directs it where it should go instead of randomly.
Right.
Okay, other discussions from the folks up here? What other thoughts have you have on this particular,
I think the access was the big question for me.
Yeah.
Was how everybody's accessing the property.
yeah, we have ordinances for flag lots and things like that.
Yeah.
This doesn't apply because it's one shared driveway. Anything else?
It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so that's the first discussion item. Thank you.
Thank you.
Second discussion item is the draft ordinance for the aviation activities, and I have no comments on that, so I think we ought to go directly to the public hearing. It's now 6:19, so I think we go to the public hearing for the final plat Rochelle Stevens and Paris Edition, lots 1 through 3, Block A, 7.876 acres. J. Evanson Survey, abstract number 398, J. Harrod Survey, abstract number 588, in the town of Copper Canyon, Denton County, Texas. The properties to be platted include property ID 19784, 19785, 19786, and 20191, as noted in the dentoncad.com. So we have one person who wants to speak in the public hearing. Jeff, Mayor? Would-
Well, I'm gonna talk about the aviation.
The aviation thing. All right. Okay, we can have a separate public hearing for that then, I guess. Right?
You don't need a public hearing for it.
Yeah, I technically don't need a public hearing because we're not going to move on it tonight. But if you wanted to speak on it, when's the best time for that? He's public hearing, and
Right, I would, since you've opened the public hearing for the, Rochelle replat, or plat, I would go ahead and
finish that.
finish that.
All right. So is there any public comment for the public hearing on the plat? On just this plat that's here?
Did I need to submit a form to speak?
No.
All right. Mike, you want me to come up there?
Please come up and give us your name and address and,
My name's John Holt. I live on 825 Eastwood Glen, just at the top of the hill.
okay,
The triangle part of this, my property backs up to that.
okay.
And I have a couple small questions, just trying to understand. This is 4 properties here,
3.
but there's 4 listed here? That's my first question. And I believe the one gentleman owns both of the 2, and I just wondered how he was gonna plat that, if he's gonna plat it as one, or,
Well, this is being platted as one large plat right here.
all 4 of them?
It's 3, I'm not sure.
He's on that line up there.
Yeah, if you're talking about this line
I'm
up here.
talking about the 4 numbers that are at Denton Cab.
So if you look at these 4 numbers.
Oh, there's 4 numbers, yeah, that's a good point.
The 4 numbers go all the way here. They
The
go
last
down.
2 are the back that belong to Neil's, right? Right, and that,
Yeah,
right. Yeah, I have the very triangle right up to the railroad track.
So it is 4 parcels, but they're gonna do end up with 3 with this new plat.
okay, so, yeah, okay,
So from that point forward, it'll look like 3 properties?
yes.
Okay, that was my first question.
Right.
My second question was about the drainage, which you brought up very correctly, I think. All of these lots up the hill here drain back into that field, and mine in particular, it can get, you know how it gets around here, they can be 2 to 3 inches deep running down there. Half the time it runs across my yard to the other side and goes down behind the tracks. Is that gonna be a problem when he comes in here, is that his problem when he comes in here and develops? Because ours is established, I mean, the water's running down an established,
Our rule is mitigation. In other words, that we're not requiring people to solve problems that already exist. We're requiring them not to create new problems. So when he comes in with his construction diagram, he's now got more concrete, and it depends on where it is, which way the topography is. If he were to increase the flow onto your property, that's prohibited. We've got to stop that.
Right.
But we can't ask him to fix what is now currently already flooding across there.
yeah, because he's the one who's gonna have he'll sink up his axles out there at times. So that was my 2 questions. I was worried about my easement running into his property, which it's done forever. And if I was gonna have to take action on my part, if it's gonna be a problem for me, and then I wanted to know about the extra property. Okay,
All right, thank you very much. Any other public input for discussion of this final plat? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing at 6:23. We have one other item on our agenda here, which we aren't going to take action on. However, we have parties that want to talk. So I will open up at 6:24. I'll open up a public hearing on draft ordinance 25-015, the aviation activities ordinance. Is there anyone who would like to? We've already got one. Jeff, you want to go first?
Jeff Mayer, 1020 Vellewood Court. So I wrote this ordinance, and the purpose of the ordinance is for aviation mitigation from what happened to our neighbors and things like that, so just trying to get ahead of the game and stuff. And it's not, the purpose of it is not to cover every single drone that's out there or somebody in their backyard, but it is to allow people who have access to be able to fly, say, a helicopter in for a party or Christmas event. Somebody's gonna go play golf, whatever, it doesn't make any difference. And my understanding of helicopters, and I'm not a helicopter pilot, but my understanding of helicopters, they can go anywhere they want, they can land anywhere they want currently, unrestricted. But we need to put restrictions on us, in my view, in order to safety our animals, horses, whatever things that get scared and run into fences and do things like that. And we definitely don't want, I feel the town does not need or want a helicopter operation, continuous operation 7 days a week or 5 days a week either. So that's what the purpose of this whole thing is about, describing, as far as, you know, the size of vehicles, of course, and allowing emergency operations should they occur. And also just getting a permit for if somebody wants to have something for a party from the town, laying out necessity of, you know, safety issues. And if we do have an emergency situation or care flight or anything like that, once again, reporting to us, so that way if we do have damages to a neighbor, we can have some tracking of that. And I'll take any questions from anybody.
My only comment on this version was D1B, where it says limited to 3 calendar day uses per calendar year. I'm not clear that that's clear enough. In other words, that sounds like I can do it for 3 days. Or is there any space between the days? Or if I do it 3 days, I've used them all up for 1 year?
I think that's my intent, to have 3 days of operations, whether you
You
use it
might-
3 at one time or 3 or individually.
Yeah,
And if I can add on to that, because I had a similar question related. So the basic intention is that you need a conditional use permit
Yes.
to do anything, but the 3 days is not needing a conditional use. So if I want to bring a helicopter and I don't have to do, and I'm only going to do it 1 day, I don't need a conditional
No,
use
you
permit.
need a conditional use
No
permit.
matter what.
No matter what.
So the conditional use permit is limiting to no more than 3 days.
That is
per
correct.
calendar year. Okay, and we have to be clear on that because
Okay,
it's not,
we'll clear that up.
yeah.
I do know there's some rules and regulations with FAA when it comes to helicopter. I've done a few landing pads for different buildings. I don't know all the ins and outs to it, but I do know when you land a helicopter, there's a big difference in landing it and leaving the props on and turning it off. And there's almost no regulations if you don't turn your props off. Like if you leave them running, technically it's not landing. So I don't know where ours starts and where FAA the regulations begin. So we might want to understand, because if I'm gonna go play a golf tournament and I won some trip and they're gonna come pick me up, but they're turning their blades off, it never landed according to FAA. So
may not count for
it
1 year.
may not count. So I'm just saying, I just understand there's a little bit of discrepancies, and we just need to define it, I think, and understand.
I still question why we have to put this into the zoning.
Yeah.
This is my personal preference, and
Yeah.
that in a quarter will get you a bad cup of coffee, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why we don't prohibit it in our zoning ordinances, and then simply say, with a caveat, that you can seek a special use permit from the city for an event. And then if somebody wants to fly in people for a party, great. You come to the town, you get a special use permit, because the other thing that does is if Sheila's got 12 special use permits for the 24th of December, she can go, that's too much air traffic. No. But
Well, I appreciate that, and I think that's an interesting comment, but we're not really gonna take any action on this tonight.
Right.
So it's as a public member, you've
Right.
just made an observation. So I think unless anybody has any other questions for Jeff, I need to close the public hearing on this. Is that okay? Any other questions? Okay, so it's now 6:28. I close the public hearing on the aviation. There will be a lot of discussion on this before it actually comes to anybody for approval. And Jeff, I'm not clear that comes to planning and zoning for approval, does it? Go straight to council? Oh darn,
Because it'll be a zoning ordinance.
it's part of the zoning, so, okay,
Yeah,
so we'll,
it's the conditional use.
But the thing we have to
ordinance.
remember, and this goes back to our time in Arlington,
yeah,
we put this in the zoning, because remember what he said? This is our firewall. We put this in the zoning. We've now opened the door for anybody that's got the proper acreage to have a landing site.
Well, this prohibits that.
yeah.
This ordinance prohibits that. You're kind of drawing more than what's allowed by this thing.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of reading it, again a few more times.
So are we having discussion now then?
No, so now we're gonna go to the actual discussion of the plat.
Okay.
In order to have a discussion, we need to have a motion. So I will make a motion that we approve the plat as presented to us tonight. And I can read it all again, but it's all written here. Do you want me to read it, Sheila, or can you just repeat it? And so is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, so now we have discussion on the motion that's on the floor. Are there any comments from anyone on the motion on the floor?
Now, my biggest concern is just the driveway. Shared driveways never end well.
Yeah, I think we've warned as much as we can warn. Okay, in that case, I will call for a vote. Is there anybody opposed to the motion? Hearing none, it's approved unanimously. What else we got to do tonight? I don't think we need an executive session unless there's something going on that I don't know about. But I left out something earlier in my earlier discussion, just kind of to talk about things. There were two things passed in our last meeting. There was the Great Commission and there was Harbison. Those were two different things we ruled. And at the time, I think all of us went, well, why are we doing this?
It was because this wasn't passed yet.
Yeah, that was, well, this wasn't passed yet. But if it had been passed, we still would have been ruling on Great Commission,
But not Harbison.
but not Harbison, because Great Commission did increase the number of lots. They went from,
Right.
whereas Harbison just moved a property line, so it would have fallen under the amending plat
Right.
requirements. Anyway, so so some of the statements that were made about, oh, well, we shouldn't have done that. I mean, we wouldn't have had to do that if we were under the new things, were not correct.
Right.
So correct the record. All right. Do I hear a motion to, well, never mind. I'm chairman, I move we adjourn.
Second. I did.
Yeah. Actually, technically, you don't need to. Under Robert's rules, the chairman can adjourn the meeting without a motion.
Troy, when's the best time to ask the development that's right behind Quiet Hills Circle? Is Bonnie?
Lonnie.
Yeah, Bonnie Branch.